You are here because you want to get hired at Disney, and you absolutely came to the right place. In today's video, I'm going to go through some of the actual behavioral interview questions Disney asks in their interview process, and I'm going to show you exactly how to answer them. Let's go. Now, first and foremost, I want to talk about a behavioral interview question. What is it? A behavioral interview question is a question designed to find out how you might act in a certain situation by examining how you've acted in the past in similar situations. So, for example, whenever a recruiter asks you a question like, can you give me an example of a time when? Or tell me about a time when? Do you notice what I said there? A time when. So they're prompting you to recall something that resembles a certain situation, and they're trying to figure out what did you do in that situation, how did you act, because the best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. That is a behavioral interview question. So how do you go about answering these? Well, the best way to answer a behavioral interview question is using the STAR technique. Now, the STAR technique is basically a framework to help you answer behavioral interview questions. It is situation, task, action, and result. What was the situation you were in? Like, where were you working? What were you doing? What was the role? Task, what happened? What occurred? What did you need to respond to? Action, what were the specific things you did to fix the situation, remedy the situation, or resolve it? And result, what was the outcome of your behaviors in the situation? Where did it all end up? Lastly, I tell people to throw an L at the end for lesson. Make it come full circle and give them on the end, unprompted, here's what I learned about that, and here's how I modified my behavior moving forward. Okay, good. With that said, let's get into the actual behavioral interview questions Disney asks in their interview process. Now, the first one is a doozy. It is, tell me about a time when you had to work with a difficult or disruptive person. It may have been a client, manager, or coworker. How did you handle the situation, and what was the outcome? Now, I love talking about the why. Why would they ask you this question? Whenever you're answering an interview question, it makes sense you determine, okay, why would they ask me this? Why does it matter? And the reason for Disney is, in many of their roles, you're going to be customer facing. You're going to be interacting with people, and they want to see how you would react to someone who is difficult. Because anybody can deal with an easy situation, but when the rubber hits the road and you're dealing with a difficult situation, they'd like to have an idea of how you're going to respond. Now, first and foremost, start with the STAR technique. Situation, task, action, result. This is an answer you can probably give them in about 60 to 120 seconds. You don't want to go shorter than that because then you're probably not giving them enough information, and you don't want to go longer than that because then you're going to start to ramble on. Now, in this question, they actually give you options. You can choose a coworker, a manager, or a client. Choose client. It hardly ever benefits you to talk poorly on your manager or your fellow teammates. And even though they told you to do this, you don't want to do it, it's going to make you seem difficult. So choose a client. Secondly, make it a client who is mad for reasons outside of your interaction. So they came to you mad because of the actions or the situation somebody else caused. They're giving you the out. You don't have to be the person causing the issue. You can be the person who solves it. So do that. Next, you need to make them understand that you understood that this wasn't the person being mad at you. They were mad at the situation. So you didn't take it personally. All you took personally is, I'm going to be the person who resolves this for them. So you saw it as a challenge, they came in, you weren't sensitive about it, you understood they were mad at the situation, and you felt you needed to make it right for them. And that's how you approached it. In the end, they ended up happy and you resolved their situation. If you could accomplish those things, you will crush this very difficult situation. So think of an example that makes sense from your past, follow that framework, and you're gonna do just fine. The next question is, tell me about a time you went above and beyond for a customer. This is a great question to get because it allows you to share a powerful story. Do yourself a favor. Every interview you go in for the rest of your life, have 4 to 5 powerful stories you are hoping to share that you are familiar with. And this gives you an opportunity with a pretty relatively blank canvas to share an opportunity where you really helped a customer. So again, STAR technique, situation, task, action, result. You have to go above and beyond. In your example, you can't just be doing your job. You know, my job, if it is recruiting, it can't be, I recruited this person, it was tough, I filled the role. That's not above and beyond. That's my job. So make sure that whatever answer you're giving them is actually above and beyond. Lastly, you have to resolve this issue in a way that shows you totally rectify the situation and they are better off having encountered you. You went above and beyond outside of your job and they were better for it. At the end of the day, they ended up with a totally resolved situation. They were happy and it made them more of a brand advocate because of their interaction with you. That is what Disney's looking for. This next one's a powerful one, and it's tell me about a time that you naturally took on a leadership role without being asked. Did you enjoy being a leader? Were you happy with the outcome? Great question. It's like 3 of them. Remember STAR, situation, task, action, result, and why. Why are they asking this question? Well, it's because they're looking for people who can emerge as leaders. That's important. You should remember that, not just for this question, but like the rest of the interview process. They care about people emerging as leaders. That's like a free hint into ways you should answer questions moving forward, things you should emphasize in your answers, and kind of behaviors you need to embody throughout the duration of the interview process. So you need to do a few things to answer this well. First and foremost, in your story, nobody asks you to be a leader. You emerge, right? That's important. So you saw a situation that needs to be resolved, and you took the bull by the horns, and you went forward in solving it, okay? So you took that step. Next, you need to tell them that you embraced it enthusiastically. It wasn't something you did begrudgingly. You weren't forced into being a leader. You liked it. You enjoyed it. You embraced it, and it ended well, right? Like you liked it. You were happy. And one of the things that I think is a key for answering this question is that you really enjoyed it and it made you want it more. It made you want to lead more. When you think about this, there's also multiple questions. So you can't just say the first one, you have to answer it. Did you enjoy being a leader? Yes, you did. Were you happy with the outcome? Yeah, ideally you would pick an example where you were happy with the outcome. So make sure you're answering all of these, tell them the story. Did you enjoy being a leader? Were you happy with the outcome? Speak to all of that, use the STAR technique, and follow the tips that I gave you, and you'll do great. This next one is a tough one. This is the final one, and it's describe a time when you had to put your needs aside to help a coworker understand a task. How did you assist them, and what was the result? Why would they ask this? Well, because if you're working as part of a large team and somebody doesn't know something, they want someone who's going to be comfortable and willing to help others. Use the STAR technique, situation, task, action, result. Think of an example where you were a really good teammate here. Being a good teammate is really important to Disney. It is critical. So talk about how you were happy and willing to help them and that you were thorough in your explanation. This can't be something where you're like, I was really busy, but I said, okay, fine, I gotta go help them. My attitude there is that was an inconvenience. This can't be an inconvenience for you. You have to be willing. And it must end with them learning what it was they needed to learn, and it has to end well. And if you can do these things, you will absolutely crush this interview question. Now, this video is done, but you gotta go watch this one. This one is the single most important interview question you're gonna be asked when you interview with Disney, and that's why do you want to work for Disney? If you can't answer this interview question, you might as well stand up, take your resume, throw it in the garbage can, and walk out the door because you're not getting the job. Watch this video.